Hi, good evening, everybody. So in the UK, it is now 7:30 on Friday night, and I wanted to wrap this week off, what has been an incredible week, off by celebrating with you Niyc Pidgeon's podcast, which was launched this time last week. This time last week, we did a long live sharing with you Niyc's incredible show. So for those of you who don't know, this is my friend and mentor, Niyc Pidgeon, and this week she's had quite a roller coaster. So Niyc, just tell those who are just joining us now exactly what's happened for you this week.
So we launched the Unstoppable Success podcast. We got a big surprise and it went live a few days earlier, 4 or 5 days earlier than we expected. So we decided to dive right on in. You and I really just got into it and we're like, right, let's do this. Like, we're unstoppable. Let's go for it.
We're not one to kind of shy away from a challenge, either of us.
So we just literally went for it last Friday, and it's been the most amazing journey getting this podcast out there to help so many people create unstoppable success within themselves and their businesses.
So let's talk about that. So you'd had a podcast a long time ago that kind of, you didn't, be quite honest, you didn't really know what you were doing with it. What was it that made you want to do a podcast this time around?
I really wanted to be able to create a bigger impact at this time in the world where we've gone through this crazy year together. We've been focusing on surviving, and now the world is opening up. I wanted to create something that can be just the same as like having a book on your coffee table. A podcast is something that really finds its way into your daily life. So I wanted to create something that was a tool that was familiar with people, easy to use for people, that could start to take this focus off surviving and really put it onto being unstoppable.
And when we launch a podcast, we have a strategy that goes behind that. And obviously we are going to dive in and make sure we help people with that and produce it. But this week has kind of been exceptional. We have had incredible, phenomenal, unstoppable success. So to put this in context for those of you who are watching, Niyc has charted in 44 categories.
My lucky number.
Sorry, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. It's 80 categories.
Oh, cool.
In 44 countries.
Amazing.
That's how many countries and categories you've charted in around. And that's not something that even felt achievable this time last week.
It's really crazy when it starts, because it's like a black hole, and you've created it. Like, you and I have been working on it for months, and then we put it out there into the world and there's like nothing, because everything takes a couple of days to catch up with reviews and charts and things. So you've really got to trust yourself and trust the process, and just trust in the fact that you've made this thing that is really good and really high quality, but there's still a little bit of nervousness and anticipation waiting for those charts and the reviews to come in.
Yeah. And so talk to us about the kind of responses that you've had.
It's literally been amazing. Like, I'm reading through these reviews, and a lot of people I know, a lot of people I have literally never even met. And you guys have been listening to not just the podcast, but you've also been part of either our communities, or you've been reading the book, or you've done something with something that I've taught before, and you've gone and put it into action, and you've actually got results. So being able to hear this feedback, like, I get a lot of feedback from our masterminds and from our programs, but this is like being able to see the impact that this work has had, this amazing unstoppable success system, on people far and wide that I might never get the chance to speak with otherwise. So it's been really inspiring just to see how hard everyone's working and see how much they're focused on the happiness and the success.
So on a personal note, Niyc, what does it mean for you to get that back?
I've been in tears all week. Literally, you say a roller coaster, it's definitely been a roller coaster. And it's been really surprising just how, first of all, how nervous I was. I think that I want to acknowledge that I was actually nervous. And then secondly, like, the impact of realizing that I'm making an impact with my work. It's just been so cool just seeing all of the messages and realizing like just how fulfilling this is personally, but also for my mission as well. So it feels very in alignment. It feels it's you know what, Anna, it's really motivated me just to go and record more and more and more, because I can see immediately, just within 7 days, the impact that this is having on people's lives. So it just inspired me. And now I'm going through my life and like, oh, that could be a podcast episode, or they'd be a great guest when I do guests in the future.
And so to put this, so what's been the highlight of this week for you then? What was the moment you kind of went, oh, that's really amazing?
There's been so many little highlights all the way through. Like, this is my life's work. And to have my life's work affirmed through this process this week with the podcast has felt really, really glorious. It's felt very uplifting, very grounding. I literally love you, Anna. I'm going to cry. I'm so grateful for all of the help that you've given me and for being here by my side, because you literally have been with me through the full process and guiding me every step of the way. There's a lot that goes into these launches. It's been very meaningful to get a number one. So that first number one that we got was really exciting. And obviously having a number one in my home country as well, that's really, really special, because that's where this all started. It all started from a cold little pokey apartment in Newcastle where it was freezing, sitting with my laptop with hopes and dreams. And that's literally where it came from. So to see us go to the top spot in the UK has been amazing as well.
And what I want to say about that is that not only have you gone to the top spot in marketing in the UK, but in that particular category, you knocked off two powerhouse women who both of us would respect in our worlds, Jenna Kutcher and Amy Porterfield. Jenna Kutcher's podcast is in the top 0.1% of podcasts globally, and Amy Porterfield's is in the top 0.05% of podcasts across the whole world. And there you are, and you've claimed that space, and I find that really exciting. I think what's been interesting about this is seeing and you sharing so much value on the podcast, but also in this whole journey, this is still an area that is for many people uncharted. They don't understand how this particular area works, and it is unique, and every launch is different. There's always some quirky thing that happens, but watching you also this week share with your audience that this is an emotional journey for you, and no matter how successful you are and how much unstoppable success you've made for yourself, you are still a person who is putting themselves out, being more visible, being more vulnerable, and that there is an emotional response to that. And I think for people much earlier on in the journey or haven't quite had the success that you have, I think it's important to share those things. And I love that this platform allows you to do that as well.
Yeah, it's been amazing sharing the behind the scenes, and everyone's totally loved that.
But what's it taken? So it's not been a question of, you know, we have a chat, you go away and do the podcast recordings, and then it just happens. Talk through the process from your perspective.
I mean, the very start of the process was looking at where in the annual calendar this was going to fit, because there's a lot of other stuff that goes on within a business and timelines of launches and promotions and things that you've already got going on. You have to be mindful of that. So we were looking at what is the purpose of the podcast, then where are we going to position it within the actual year. So we knew that this was felt like a really great window of time. It's like spring, it's something new. It made sure that it fit in after a launch that I'd already done in January, before one that I'm going to do in the next couple of weeks. So it felt like it was really, really good timing. I then dropped into what is it that people really want to hear. So I've got tons I can talk about, even though I'm an introvert. I spend a lot of hours coaching, and I've done thousands and thousands of hours of coaching, and every one of those coaching questions could become a great topic for an episode. Now, I literally went and asked, and this is such a tip and a tool that you guys can use who've got audiences and businesses. Just go and ask them what they want. I did polls, and I said what types of questions would you love for me to answer? And I know my top pain points of my people and the results that they want to get. So I made sure that I hit on those things first. So I went where my audience was wanting me to go. And that has felt really good, because the response that we've had from those episodes is that people have loved the tactical training, and they've gone away and they've listened to the short episodes, and they've put them into action straight away. So it feels good that it's being used as well as just listened to.
One of the things that clients often come back to me and say that following that kind of process, that making it really personalized for what their audience is struggling with, means that as their business grows, as they evolve, as they become someone who is able to charge much more for a high ticket, that they have less guilt's perhaps the wrong word, but that kind of sentiment about charging higher ticket, because they know that they are able to serve the masses with a podcast. And I think that becomes a really important thing to remember. Not only does it work in terms of lead generation and funnels and all of those things, but you are actually helping many thousands of people by producing content once. And that feels like a very giving process. So for someone then who's at a point where they're thinking, I'd like a podcast, or maybe they've done it before and it's not quite worked out, what would you say about that?
Go and work with Anna. First of all, go and work with Anna. Honestly, like for me, it has been the biggest relief to work together with you. I have got a big multi-million-dollar business with 28 of us in the team. There's a lot that goes on, and I knew I wanted to do this, and I knew I couldn't do it alone. So whilst I am unstoppable, I'm very much unstoppable because of the amazing experts that I work with. I'm very clear on what my strengths are. I'm very clear on what my strengths are not. So it was amazing to be able to partner with you on this, Anna, because you are the pro. You're the go-to person for podcasts, and you've got a really simple, proven system that I was able to follow along with every step of the way to create this amazing product and then bring it to life for 80 countries in the world to be able to go listen to.
It's amazing. I'm so pleased for you. I'm delighted for you that you're able now to, you were reaching thousands and thousands of people anyway, but this will just multiply. And I'm excited to see how this immediately begins to feed into your business. So huge congratulations. So ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't yet gone and listened to Niyc's podcast, go and check out Unstoppable Success. It's on Apple. We'd love a review. It is on Spotify. It's on pretty much any of your favorite, wherever you listen to podcasts, it will be there. Massive congratulations, Niyc. And after a roller coaster week, this is me signing off for my Friday night as you begin your Friday morning over in LA. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.